So I'm going to do a quick video just showing you how to convert fractions to decimals and percents. This may be a review for some of you, but I think it's a good thing to review moving forward. So the first strategy would be to find an equivalent fraction with a denominator of 100. So the example that I have here is similar to the one in your in the slideshow under action. So you bought a box of chocolates that have 20 chocolates in them, you ate some and now have 15 left. Represent the amount that you have left using fractions, decimals, and percents. So first, obviously, you need to figure out how many you ate. Now, this is an easy question, so you can probably do the mental math, but just in case it was a question with higher numbers, you can use your algebra. So 20 chocolates to start with. A is representing the amount of chocolates that you ate, and you have 15 left. So once you figure that out, you can see that there are 5 chocolates that were ate, leaving 15 in the box. So now that you know that, as a fraction, that would be represented as 15 over 20. So you can see here that I started, so I have 15 chocolates left out of 20, which I had in total. So for me to go ahead and turn that into a percentage and then a decimal, I need to find an equivalent fraction. So my denominator, I'm trying to get it to 100. So in order to do that, I know that 20 times something is going to give me 100. It won't work all the time to get a denominator out of 100, so it depends on the numbers that you are working with. 20 times 5 gives me 100. So whatever I do to the bottom, to the denominator, I must do to the top as well. So I must multiply 15 times 5 for my numerator to get my answer here, which is going to be 75. So I have equivalent fractions here. 15 out of 20 is the same thing or equal to 75 out of 100. On the side here at the end, you can see I just wrote down that first step. It's also in the slideshow for you to review. So it just says change the fraction so that the denominator is 100. Whatever you multiply or divide the denominator by, you must do to the numerator as well. Now, you might find in the upcoming questions that you have simplified fractions. So just a reminder, simplify means to make the fraction into lowest terms. So in this case, 15 out of 20 can be simplified. We can get that lower by dividing. So you need to think, what can my numerator and denominator both be divided by with a whole number? So 15 divided by 5, that is my largest number I can divide by to get my smallest fraction. So 15 divided by 5 is 3, and 20 divided by 5 is 4. This is my simplified fraction here. So 15 out of 20 is equal to 75 out of 100 is also equal to 3/4. So those are all equivalent fractions. That is just simplest terms. Now, in order to change this into a percentage, it's quite easy once you have your denominator of 100. So once I have my denominator of 100, that top number is now my percent. So I don't really have any thinking to do. I have my fraction here, 75 out of 100, and that numerator is now my percentage. So that is equal to 75%. Lastly, to change that into a decimal, we know that when we're working with fractions, this line here means to divide. So technically this means 75 divided by 100. So to change that into a decimal, all we have to do is divide our numerator by our denominator, which means that we are moving our decimal 2 places to the left. So if I have my number of 75, our starting decimal, because we don't see it, is always all the way to the right. I'm moving it 2 places to the left because I'm dividing by 100. So 1, 2, my decimal has now moved right there. Okay, so with that being said, I'm done. So 15 out of 20, which is my original fraction, is equal to 75%, which is also equal to 0.75 as a decimal. Or if I use my simplified fraction, 3/4 is equal to 75%. Sorry, I'm writing with one hand here, which is equal to 0.75. Okay, so I hope that helps. Just remember that first step. This will help you to find percent and your decimal. And it doesn't matter what order you work in, whatever is easiest for you. I find going from fractions to percent to decimals seems to work, have a nice flow to it. However, you're not always going to start off with a fraction, so you might be working in a different direction. Okay, hope that helps.